Hi students, this is our second class, the second part of effects of electric current. Okay, all are ready? And as I told you in the previous class, in this class we will be discussing in details the basic concepts of potential difference, current and resistance, and the idea of resistance we can get from Ohm's law. Okay, now before going to that basic ideas, we will do a small activity here. Suppose we have a torch cell and a small torch bulb. If I want to light this bulb, can I light this bulb by using a piece of cotton thread? Suppose I am taking a piece of thread, cotton thread, and I am connecting a positive terminal of the cell to one terminal of the bulb and negative of the cell to the other terminal of the bulb. Can we see this bulb glowing here now? The bulb will not glow, isn't it? Because current will not pass through a cotton thread. We will say cotton thread is an insulator. Cotton thread is an insulator. Insulator means what? Insulator means current will not pass through it. It cannot allow current to pass through it, or it will not allow the charges to flow through it. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു മെറ്റീരിയൽ അതിലൂടെ ചാർജസ് ഫ്ലോ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല എങ്കിൽ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് കോൾഡ് എൻ ഇൻസുലേറ്റർ. സാധാരണ കാണുന്ന മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് ലൈക്ക് കോട്ടൺ, പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക്, പേപ്പർ, these are all called insulator. കാരണം these materials cannot conduct electricity. Now which type of materials should be used here for lighting the bulb? Instead of this cotton thread, suppose I am using a piece of copper wire. Suppose this is a piece of copper wire and I am connecting one end of the one terminal of the bulb to the positive of the cell and the other to the negative. And if this wire is made up of copper, then we can see the bulb glowing. What is the reason? Because this copper is a conductor. What is meant by conductor? A conductor means a substance or material which will allow current to flow through it, or which will allow charges to flow through it. സാധാരണയായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കാണുന്ന മെറ്റൽസ്, എല്ലാ മെറ്റൽസും കണ്ടക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ്. You can take the example copper, aluminum, iron, okay, any metals, all of them are conductors. അപ്പോൾ ജനറൽ ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ what we can see, all metals are conductors. You can take aluminum, iron, okay, silver, gold, any metal, all metals are conductors. And if you take non-metals, for example, paper is not a conductor, a cotton thread is not a conductor, plastic is not a conductor. What is the main element present in all these material? For example, if you are burning paper, what will you get finally? You will get ash. Ash means carbon. So if you burn paper, plastic, cotton, any of this type of material, dry wood, all these are insulators. And after burning all these, we are getting carbon, because carbon is the most abundant element present in all these material. ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ പേപ്പർ എടുത്താൽ, പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക്, കോട്ടൺ ത്രെഡ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഫാബ്രിക്സ്, വുഡ്, ഇതിലൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ കത്തിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഫൈനലായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത് കാർബണാണ്. ഇഫ് കാർബൺ ഈസ് പ്രസൻറ്റ്, കാർബൺ ഈസ് എ നോൺ മെറ്റൽ. And non-metals are usually insulators. So we can say normally non-metals are generally insulators. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ജനറലായിട്ട് പറയാം, എല്ലാ മെറ്റൽസും, all metals are conductors. എല്ലാ നോൺ മെറ്റൽസും ഇൻസുലേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആണ്. ഒരു എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട് അതിൽ. വൺ എക്സെപ്ഷൻ ഈസ് ദാറ്റ് വൺ നോൺ മെറ്റൽ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഗ്രാഫൈറ്റ്. Graphite is a non-metal. Graphite is a non-metal, but it is a conductor. Graphite is a conductor. Graphite is actually an allotropic form of carbon. Graphite എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കാർബൺ തന്നെയാണ്. കാർബണിൻ്റെ ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ ക്രിസ്റ്റലൈൻ സ്ട്രക്ചറാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിലുള്ള ക്രിസ്റ്റലൈൻ സ്ട്രക്ചറിൻ്റെ ആ ഘടനയിൽ അതിൻ്റെ സ്ട്രക്ചറിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത കൊണ്ട് അത് കണ്ടക്ടറാണ്. അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ വേറെ ലെസണിൽ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യും. Right now you can remember graphite is an exception, that is it is a non-metal but it is a conductor. The writing lead of the pencil, okay, grey colored substance, that is graphite. It is a very smooth material. If you powder it, you will get a smooth powder, and it can conduct electricity also. You can do it the activity if you take a piece of pencil and connect to end of that wires of a circuit. You can see the bulb can glow after passing current through the pencil lead. So graphite ഒരു കണ്ടക്ടറാണ്, even if it is a non-metal. But generally നമ്മൾ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ മെറ്റൽസ്, എല്ലാ മെറ്റൽസും ഗുഡ് കണ്ടക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ്, നോൺ മെറ്റൽസ് ഇൻസുലേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആണ്. വാട്ട് ഈസ് ദ റീസൺ ഫോർ ദാറ്റ്? എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് മെറ്റൽസ് കണ്ടക്ടേഴ്സും നോൺ മെറ്റൽസ് ഇൻസുലേറ്റേഴ്സും ആകുന്നത്? അതിൻ്റെ റീസൺ നമ്മൾ അറിയണമെങ്കിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ഓൾ വി ഹാവ് ടു സീ ദ സ്ട്രക്ചർ ഓഫ് ആറ്റം. When you see the structure of atom, for example, you take a non-metal carbon and a metal aluminum. Usually the main difference between the structure of metal and non-metal is that metals are all big atoms. All metals in size കൂടുതലാണ്, and non-metals are very small in size. Since metals are bigger in size, and all of you know that the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. If you take the simplest structure of atom, Bohr model of atom, Bohr model of atom, electrons nucleus ചുറ്റും കറങ്ങിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. When they are moving in a circular path around the nucleus, when electrons are moving in a circular path around the nucleus, you know that for continuing in a circular motion, there must be a centripetal force. You might be knowing that centripetal force. A centripetal force should be acting along the radius towards the center. Suppose you are tying a stone at the end of a thread and rotating like this. When you rotate like this, through the thread you are keep on applying a force towards the center. That is called centripetal force. Now when I am rotating like this, I am applying a force along this wire towards the center. Okay. If at any moment, if I am releasing this wire, then it will be thrown in a straight line. It cannot move in a circular path. To continue in a circular path, I should apply a force always along the radius towards the center. Along the radius towards the center of the circle. And that force is called centripetal force. And that force depends on the mass of the body, its speed. What speed? If I am rotating with more speed, I have to apply more force. And also it depends upon the radius. Radius means the length of this wire. Okay, the length of the wire will become radius of the circle. So a centripetal force is needed for any object to continue in a circular path. At any point, at any moment, if the centripetal force is withdrawn, at that point, the body will be thrown out along the tangent at that point. Tangent is the straight line touching the circle at one point. If you consider the same for an electron, imagine this electron is the stone. It is revolving around the nucleus. And there must be a centripetal force. There must be a centripetal force acting along the radius towards the center. In this direction, there must be a centripetal force. If that centripetal force is not there, then the electron will be thrown out of the atom. So what is that centripetal force? Which force is providing that centripetal force? ഏത് ഫോഴ്സാണ് ഇലക്ട്രോണിനെ സർക്കുലർ പാത്തിൽ റിവോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആവശ്യമായ സെൻട്രിപെറ്റൽ ഫോഴ്സ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്? That force is electrostatic force of attraction. Force between positive charged nucleus and negative charged electron. അപ്പോൾ പോസിറ്റീവ് ചാർജ്ഡ് ന്യൂക്ലിയസും നെഗറ്റീവ് ചാർജ്ഡ് ഇലക്ട്രോണും തമ്മിലൊരു ഇലക്ട്രോസ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ഫോഴ്സ് ഓഫ് അട്രാക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. ആ ഫോഴ്സാണ് ഇലക്ട്രോണിനെ സർക്കുലർ പാത്തിൽ റിവോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആവശ്യമായ സെൻട്രിപെറ്റൽ ഫോഴ്സ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, നൗ ദിസ് ഫോഴ്സ്, ഇലക്ട്രോസ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ഫോഴ്സ്, ഇറ്റ് ഡിക്രീസസ് വിത്ത് ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ദ ന്യൂക്ലിയസ് ആൻഡ് ഇലക്ട്രോൺ. അപ്പോൾ ന്യൂക്ലിയസും ഇലക്ട്രോണും തമ്മിലുള്ള ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് കൂടുമ്പോൾ ഫോഴ്സ് ഡിക്രീസ് ചെയ്യും. So if you consider an electron in aluminium, which is revolving very close to the nucleus. If you consider this electron, okay, it is very close to the nucleus, so force will be very strong, very strong. So this electron will always continue in circular path. The next one also, it is nearer, so the force is enough for electron to get centripetal force. So this electron is also closer. Pi electron it will get necessary centripetal force. Centripetal force that will revolve around the nucleus. But if you take the last electron in all metals, the valence electron, okay, at the last point, this valence electron, there are 3 valence electrons for aluminium because its atomic number is 13, electronic configuration is 283. These 3 electrons revolving in the last orbit, since they are far away from the nucleus, this valence electron nucleus far away from the nucleus, so they will not get enough centripetal force. All metals valence electrons they will not get enough centripetal force because metals are big atoms, so valence electrons are maximum distance far away from the nucleus. So the force is there, electrostatic force is there, but that force is not enough for continuing in circular paths. Now, electrons, all metals, valence electrons, they will not be revolving around the nucleus, they will come outside of atom, they will be thrown out of the atom. So all valence electrons here, all valence electrons are thrown out of the atom. Now, all valence electrons, metals, all valence electrons, atom these negative charge electrons are outside the atom. These electrons are called free electrons. These electrons are called free electrons. Free electrons. So all metals are having millions of free electrons. If aluminum aluminum 3 free electrons ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരു അലുമിനിയം റോഡ് എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇതൊരു അലുമിനിയം റോഡാണ്. This is an aluminum rod. There are millions of aluminum atoms in this. And how many millions of aluminum atoms are there? Into 3. Multiplied by 3. That much millions of free electrons will be there. These free electrons, usually in chemistry we call it as ocean of free electron, a sea of free electron, or a gas of free electron. Anganeyulla ee free electrons, they will never stay at rest. They will keep on moving in random direction. They can move any direction. This is aluminum rod. This aluminum rod is millions of free electrons. That is in random motion. These free electrons are always in random motion. They can move from one end to the other end in length and breadth. In random direction, they will keep on moving. These free electrons are nucleus in the they are free to move anywhere inside the metal, but they cannot move outside the metal. They will not escape from the metal surface. Got the point? So this is the main difference. Now if you consider carbon, the most of the material in our surroundings, as I told you before, like cotton thread, plastic, paper, carbon. The main content is carbon. This carbon is a non-metal and the size and the structure carbon has atomic number 6. So electronic configuration is 2,4. In Bohr model of carbon atom, you can see first orbital 2 electrons, next orbital 4 electrons. 4 valence electrons in carbon. They are very close to the nucleus. Very close, there is a strong force of attraction between the positive charge of the nucleus and negative charge of electron. Electrostatic force is strong. Because of that, these electrons cannot be free. They cannot come outside the atom. If they are not outside the atom, if there are no free electron, then it will be an insulator. Because we need charged particle to carry electricity from one point to the other point. If electrons are always moving around the nucleus, then it cannot conduct electricity from one end of the material to the other end. So, a thread is main carbon and hydrogen. These are non-metals. So, free electrons thread in one end flow chayan, there are no free charges, there are no free electrons. That is why a thread is insulator, plastic is insulator, paper is insulator, but copper is conductor, aluminum is conductor, iron is conductor, because these metals have millions and millions of free electrons. That is the main reason. Got the point? Okay. Now we will move to the next point. Okay, now listen here. This one is a rod of aluminium. So in this aluminium, there are a large number of free electrons. There are millions of free electrons. And that free electrons are moving in random direction. One electron moving this way, okay, one free electron moving this way, one free electron moving this way, another moving this way. So they are keep on moving. They can never remain at rest. They will be always in random motion with a different velocity in different direction. So if charges like this, they are moving in different direction, different velocity, that cannot produce an electric current. That will not constitute an electric current. The reason is that one electron moving in one direction, that will produce a current in that direction, but there will be another moving in opposite direction, it will cancel each other. So for getting a net current in this, we want to make the flow of electron only in one direction. We should make the flow of electron only in one direction. How is it possible? How can we make the flow of electron in one direction? We can see an example with the flow of water. Okay, if you take the flow of water, like in this case, see there is an H-shaped tube here. In this tube, glass tube, suppose I am taking water. So water is taken in both the limbs, including the horizontal tube. It is completely filled with water at the same level, both sides at the same height. If I open this valve, there is a valve at the middle and I can open and close the valve. Suppose I open the valve, can we see flow of water through this horizontal tube in any one direction? Can we observe a flow of water or a water current here? Flow of water is called water current. Flow of charges is called electric current. Like that, flow of water is called water current. ഇവിടെ വാട്ടറാണ് എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ഈ സെൻറ്ററിലെ വാൽവ് ഓപ്പൺ ചെയ്താൽ we cannot see a flow of water at the horizontal tube. What is the reason? Because this side water is having potential energy mgh. Mgh is the potential energy. You remember that equation? The same is the potential energy this side also, mgh. അപ്പോൾ ഈ രണ്ട് സൈഡിലും വാട്ടറിന് സെയിം പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ എനർജിയാണ്. If there is same potential energy, water will not flow. Always water will flow from high potential energy to low potential energy. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വാട്ടർ ഫ്ലോ ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ there must be a potential difference. ഒരു എനർജി ഡിഫറൻസ് വേണം. എനർജി ഡിഫറൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ ഒരു ഹൈ എനർജിയിൽ നിന്ന് ലോ എനർജിയിലേക്ക് ഫ്ലോ ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഒരു വാട്ടർ കറണ്ട് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ we need to create a potential difference. How can we make potential difference here? Suppose in this limb I am giving only this much water. Now if I open this valve here, okay, we can see a flow of water. Now water will start flowing from this side in this direction and it will fill here. It will keep on flow like that? No. Once both the sides are equal, ഈ രണ്ട് സൈഡിലും ഈക്വൽ ലെവൽ ആയാൽ, അതായത് പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ എനർജി സെയിം ആയാൽ, flow will stop. Means water current will stop. So if there is a potential energy difference, we can see a water current, flow of water from high energy to low energy. പിന്നെ രണ്ട് സൈഡിലും ഈക്വൽ പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ ആയാൽ it will stop. The same way, if you want to make electrons electric current, electron flow, we need to create a potential difference. ഒരു എനർജി ഡിഫറൻസ്, ഒരു പൊട്ടൻഷ്യൽ ഡിഫറൻസ് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്താലേ ഈ ഫ്രീ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസിനെ ഒരു ഡയറക്ഷനിലേക്ക് ഫ്ലോ ചെയ്യിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. For that purpose, we use usually a cell or battery inside this aluminum rod. If you want to make the flow of electron in one direction and to get an electric current, flow of charges, we need to create a potential difference between these two ends. If you can create a potential difference between these two ends of the aluminum rod, we can make the flow of electron in one direction. And a cell or a battery is a device which can produce potential difference. If I connect positive of this cell with a copper wire to this end and negative of this to other end, okay, always positive of the cell is high potential and negative is low potential. Then from high potential to low potential, charges will start flowing. But actually what happens here, inside a metal, when we give the positive charge to this side and negative charge to this side, okay, the negative of the cell will repel free electron this way, positive will attract. As a result, the complete free electrons will get a force, a net force in this direction. Okay. So once we apply a potential difference, then what will happen? Then all these free electrons will start flowing in one direction. All of them will flow in one direction. They'll move in a straight line. Once we create a potential difference between the two ends of the conductor, then all electrons will move in a straight line. That will constitute an electric current. Got the point? So potential difference is given by a cell or battery. Once the potential difference is provided, then the free electrons in the metal will start flowing in straight line. Then only we can constitute an electric current. Just like suppose your class monitor or the class leader is announcing, all of you have to go to auditorium for some program. And if there are no teachers to take care of you, usually if you consider you students are as free electrons, how you will move? All of you will move in random, okay? But if you want to make a straight line, suppose the students should move in a straight line from the class to the auditorium, there should be a teacher behind shouting at you. All of you make a line, move in a line. So they will apply some force. Teacher is acting like a cell, a battery, to make the flow of all of you in a straight line. The same way inside a conductor also, usually free electrons are just like you, they will move in random only. But if you want to make them move in a straight line, we need a force. The force is provided, energy difference is provided by a cell or battery. Then all of them will move in a straight line, so we can get a electric current. Electric current is flow of charges in unit time. We will see that. This point is clear? This is the physical meaning of potential difference. That is, an energy difference is created between the two ends of the conductor. Now mathematically, we can define like this. See here, when a cell is connected here, it is applying a force because of the attraction, positive and negative terminals, they are applying a force. And electrons are moving. Electrons are moving inside. If force is applied and movement is there, displacement is there, we can say work is done. Work is done. How much work is done? To move 1 coulomb charge from one point to the other point. Suppose we are taking this point as A, this point as B of the conductor. Okay. Then work done to move 1 coulomb charge from the point A to the point B. That is called potential difference here. So what we have written here, today's explanation, I told you the basic point, basic concept. The first one is potential difference. Potential difference is the work done to move 1 coulomb charge from one point to the other point. For example, suppose in this case, I am moving some 20 coulomb charge. Coulomb is the SI unit of charge. Charge is measured in unit coulomb. 20 coulomb charge, we are moving from the point A to B. When 20 coulomb charge is moved from point A to B, suppose I am doing a work of, for moving that charge, the cell is applying some force and moving the charges, force is there, displacement is there, it means work is done. For moving 20 coulomb charge, I am doing some 40 joule of work. 40 joule of work is done for 20 coulomb. Then for 1 coulomb, how much? Total work done is 40 joule. And that much work is done for moving 20 coulomb charge. 20 coulomb charge. Then work done for 1 coulomb will be cancelling this one. 0, 0 cancel. 4 to become 2. And joule per coulomb is remaining. So this can be written as 2 joule per coulomb. 2 joule per coulomb. This is what is called potential difference V. Now we can say between these two ends A and B, there is a potential difference of 2 joule per coulomb. This joule per coulomb is given another name volt. Usually we call it as voltage. Volt. So volt is the unit of potential difference. 1 volt means 1 joule per coulomb. 1 joule is the work done to move 1 coulomb charge, then potential difference will be 1 volt. So from this equation you can see potential difference we obtain by dividing total work done by total charge. So we can write the equation of potential difference. Potential difference V is equal to W by Q. This is the equation. We divided total work done 40 joule. 40 joule is W work done. Charge we represent by the letter Q. So W by Q is the potential difference. So equation for potential difference is W by Q, and it is measured in volt. Unit is volt. Volt. Okay. Volt means 1 volt is equal to what? 1 volt is equal to 1 joule per coulomb. Means if you are moving 1 coulomb of charge from A to the point B, for that if 1 joule is the work needed, then potential difference between A and B will be 1 volt. Now suppose I am taking 2 wires from the plug, from the supply. I have 2 wires from the supply, and I am saying between these two, this one is live wire, other is neutral wire, one is phase, other is neutral. Okay, between these 2 wires I am saying 220 volt. If I am saying 220 volt is the potential difference between the 2 wires, means when it moves 1 coulomb charge from one wire to the other wire, you will get 220 joule of work. The potential difference is already maintained by the power generator in the power station, and that potential difference is right now existing here. Energy difference is there. Okay, so if 1 coulomb charge is moved from one wire, base wire, to neutral wire, that time we can deliver 220 joule of energy. And that flow of electron, if you pass through a bulb, then that 220 joule of energy will come in the form of electrical energy, will come in the form of light energy. If you pass that electrons, when you connect a iron box in between these 2 wires, okay, and that 220 joule of energy difference here, when it flow through an iron box, that electrical energy appear in the form of heat energy. That is heating effect. So for heating a nichrome wire, we need to provide a potential difference, energy difference, so that electron will start flowing through the nichrome wire, it will get heated up. Got the point? That is potential difference. And this potential difference, it can be measured by using a voltmeter. Voltmeter is the device used for measuring potential difference. Suppose I am making a small electric circuit by using a copper wire. I am connecting positive of the cell to one terminal here of the bulb, other terminal to negative of the cell. The bulb will start glowing because we created a potential difference. Because of the potential difference, charges will start flowing through the filament of the bulb. When electrons are flowing through the filament of the bulb, it will get heated up and it will start emitting light and heat. It will produce light energy and heat energy. At that time, if you want to measure the potential difference, what is the energy difference created between these 2 points, means across the bulb, we use the device voltmeter. Voltmeter is the device used for measuring potential difference. This is voltmeter. You can see here in voltmeter there are 2 terminals. One is red in color, you can see here written positive, other is black in color, that is written negative. So always positive terminal will be red in color and negative terminal will be black in color. And this voltmeter is used for measuring the potential difference between any 2 points in a circuit, and we should connect this voltmeter in parallel. Voltmeter must be connected in parallel. These 2 points should be connected parallel to this bulb. Right now, if you are measuring the potential difference available for the electric bulb, we can connect this voltmeter parallel to this. It should be connected this way. You can see here positive of the cell is here, negative is here. So positive of the voltmeter, the red terminal, we should connect a wire to this point, means that should come to the positive of the cell this side, and the negative of the voltmeter with another copper wire should be connected to this point. This connection, negative of the voltmeter, should come to this negative of the cell, and positive of the voltmeter here should come to positive of the cell. And this way of connection is called parallel connection. So remember always, voltmeter is connected parallel to a device, to measure the potential difference. Okay. Then electric current means, when we take the previous example, when a current passes through, if you consider this as an aluminum rod and all electrons are moving in same direction, all are moving in straight line, same direction, because a potential difference is applied, means a cell is connected. We can represent now onwards a cell like this. Okay, positive of the cell with a long line, negative with a short line. This way it is connected. and because of this electrons are moving. Okay, all electrons are moving in same direction. So that time, if I am taking a cross section of the conductor, suppose I am taking this cross section of the conductor, and imagine I am counting the charges flowing through that, electrons flowing through that. Say for example, in 10-second time, I counted some 20 coulomb charge. 20 coulomb of charges crossed through this area in 10-second time. So in 10-second time, 20 coulomb charge crossed. Therefore, in 1 second, how much? Therefore, in 1 second, how much charges are crossed? 20 coulomb charges crossed in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. So in 1 second, we can obtain by dividing 20 coulomb total charge by total time. 0, 0 cancel, and it become, this is equal to how much? 2 coulomb per second. This 2 coulomb charge is flowing in 1 second. It means the rate of flow of charge. That is called electric current. So this second quantity, the current in a circuit, okay, it is represented by the letter I. Potential difference is represented by the letter V. Okay, the current I we can obtain by dividing total charge flowing through the area cross section of a conductor by total time taken. Here 20 coulomb charge moved in 10 seconds. So in 1 second, 20 by 10 equal to 2 coulomb per second. That is electric current I. And this coulomb per second is given another name, ampere. It means ampere is the SI unit of electric current. Ampere is the unit of current. Okay, so we can write down the equation of electric current. We got the electric current I is equal to, by dividing total charge is represented by the letter Q, by the total time taken T. So Q by T is the equation of current, and its unit is ampere. Ampere is the unit of current. Current is measured in ampere. Okay, and the instrument used for measuring electric current is called ammeter. Ammeter is the instrument. Ammeter is the instrument used for measuring electric current. Ammeter, it looks like voltmeter itself, but it is connected always series in a circuit. I will show that. Okay, this is the ammeter. Ammeter is used for measuring current. It is a milliammeter. So സാധാരണ നമ്മൾ എക്സ്പെരിമെൻ്റ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ആംപിയർ 1 ആംപിയർ 2 ആംപിയർ എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതൊരു ലാർജ് കറണ്ടാണ്, വലിയ കറണ്ടാണ്, ഷോക്ക് അടിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ അത് ഒഴിവാക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എക്സ്പെരിമെൻ്റ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ മില്ലി ആംപിയർ കറണ്ടാണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. മില്ലി ആംപിയർ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ആംപിയർ ഇൻറ്റു 10⁻³ or divide by 1000. If you want to convert milliampere into ampere, divide by 1000 or multiply by 10⁻⁻3. ഇതൊരു milliampere ammeter ആണ്. ഇതിനും ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് ടെർമിനൽ ഉണ്ട്. You can see a red color. The red color one is positive. It is written here positive. പിന്നെ ഒരു ബ്ലാക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. ബ്ലാക്ക് നെഗറ്റീവ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും റെഡ് പോസിറ്റീവ് ആയിരിക്കും, ബ്ലാക്ക് നെഗറ്റീവ് ആയിരിക്കും. This is used for measuring current in a circuit. How many charges are flowing in 1 second? This will give charges flowing in 1 second, unit time. ഈ ammeter സാധാരണ നമ്മൾ കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് സീരീസ് ആണ്. ഇവിടെ ഇപ്പം പിന്നെ വോൾട്ട്മീറ്റർ പാരലായിട്ടാണ് കണക്ട് ചെയ്തത്. അതായത് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു ബൾബാണെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ ക്രോസ് ആയിട്ട് പാരലായിട്ട്. പക്ഷേ ആമീറ്റർ കണക്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് സീരീസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് ആമീറ്റർ കണക്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. നമുക്കത് നോക്കാം എങ്ങനെയാണ് അത് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാന്നുള്ളത്. ഇവിടെ ഈ സർക്യൂട്ടിൽ നമുക്ക് കറണ്ട് മെഷർ ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ ആമീറ്റർ നമുക്ക് എവിടെയും കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാം. വോൾട്ട്മീറ്ററിന് ഒരു 2 ഫിക്സഡ് പോയിന്റ് ഉണ്ടാവും. അതായത് ഏത് ഡിവൈസാണോ അതിന് പാരലായിട്ട്, അതിന് അക്രോസ് ആയിട്ട് 2 പോയിന്റ്സിൽ പാരലായിട്ട് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യണം. പക്ഷേ ആമീറ്റർ എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാം. ആമീറ്റർ സർക്യൂട്ടിൽ എവിടെയും കണക്ട് ചെയ്യാം. അത് സീരീസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. വോൾട്ട്മീറ്റർ പാരലായിട്ടും ആമീറ്റർ സീരീസ് ആയിട്ട് കണക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ഇഫ് ഐ എം കണക്ടിങ് ആമീറ്റർ ഓവർ ഹിയർ, bring the ammeter here, the positive of the cell is coming here, so this way positive is coming, so positive of the ammeter, that is this red color terminal, should be here. This is the positive terminal of the ammeter, red colored one, and this is negative of the cell, so this black should be connected to the negative. This is series connection. From positive of the cell goes to positive of the ammeter, and negative of the cell goes to negative of the ammeter. It is series connection. This is series. Okay, this connection is called series connection. Means ammeter is connected in series and voltmeter is connected in parallel. Now we can see a simulation to explain what is potential difference and current, and what the cell is doing to create a potential difference in a circuit. Okay, see it. Okay, here the red balls are free electrons. They can flow only if the circuit is on. If the switch is on, what is happening here? See, now the cell is lifting up the electrons. The cell is lifting up the electron from a low energy to high energy. So the cell is keep on doing work to lift the electron from negative to positive, to lift the charges from low energy to higher energy. And when the charges are lifted to, when the free electrons are lifted to a higher energy level, now they have more potential energy. So they will flow from high energy to low energy. At this point, when they are falling down to low energy, actually they are moving through the bulb. When they are falling down to the low energy level through the bulb, the energy difference here is converted into light energy. Like when you are dropping a stone, okay, its potential energy is converted into kinetic energy, and when it is sitting on the ground, that difference of potential energy is coming in the form of sound. When you are dropping a stone, when the stone falls downward, its potential energy is decreasing, and when it hit on the ground, that potential energy is appearing in the form of sound energy. Same way, when the electrons are moving from a higher energy to low energy through the bulb, that energy difference is appearing in the form of light energy. So we need to create a potential difference, and that is provided by a cell. Now you can see further. Now here there are three different branches, three bulbs are connected, and from the main, one cell is doing all the work. When one switch is off, that bulb will switch off. Okay, when switch is on, again current will start flowing through that. This is off, now that bulb is switched off because electron cannot flow through that now. Now if the main switch is off here, the main branch there is a switch that is off, then all bulbs will switch off because electron from here onwards it is not flowing, not able to flow. Appo ella bulb switch off. Now you can see here current. Current means if you take this area of the conductor, through that how many electrons are moving in 1 second. The number of electrons crossing this area in 1 second, that is called current. And the level difference, energy difference produced by the cell is called potential difference. See, this is the current, number of electrons flowing in 1 second. This is giving a good example. Now right now you can see here, this is a circuit. There is a bulb connected with the switch and a cell. Just we are connecting the cell. Before connecting the cell, we can see all electrons are in same energy level. So there will be no flow. Just like water we have seen, water will start flowing only if there is an energy difference. One side is high energy, other side is low energy, then only water will start flowing. Same like here, right now electrons are present throughout, but there is no energy difference, so they will not flow from one point to the other point. We cannot get a current in this circuit. But when a cell is connected, the cell will lift energy of some electron to high level. Then they will start flowing from higher energy to low energy. You see here. Once the cell is connected, see, energy is lifted up. Now this side is having more energy, this side is having low energy, positive is high potential, negative is low potential. So it is lifting up. And the cell is doing work also. It is applying a force for lifting up the charges. So there is work done. Work done to lift 1 coulomb charge. Work done to lift 1 coulomb charge from negative terminal to positive terminal. That is called potential difference of the cell. You can see in a normal cell like this, it is written here 1.5 volt. 1.5 volt means between the positive and negative of the cell, there is a potential difference of 1.5 volt. Means 1.5 joule of work is done by the cell to lift 1 coulomb charge from this negative terminal to positive terminal. 1.5 joule of work is done for each coulomb, 1 coulomb, for lifting 1 coulomb from the bottom negative terminal to positive terminal. That is a potential difference provided by the cell. And due to that potential difference, electrons are flowing through this one. And when it flows through the bulb, the difference of potential, the work done by the cell here is converted to light energy of the bulb. Okay. Okay. So today we discussed the main two concepts, potential difference and current. And we did not reach at resistance. Okay. So next class we'll be discussing in details about resistance by explaining Ohm's law. Then only we can go to the heating effect, Joule's law. Okay, thank you.